आरम्भं करोतु महोदय।
ॐ वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनं भुनत्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।
धन्यवादः महोदय। सम्यक् श्रूयते वा? Astu. So last week we studied Purva Rupa Sandhi. Anybody wants to say what Purva Rupa Sandhi is?
Purva Rupa Sandhi Purva Padasya अन्ते एकारः या ओकारः भवति चेत् परवर्णः अकार अस्ति चेत् द्वयोः मेलनेन एकारः ओकारः क्रमेण भवति।
उत्तमम् उत्तमम्। श्रीविद्या महोदय, एकार प्लस ओकार तस्य उदाहरणं ददातु कृपया। क्षम्यताम्, एकार प्लस अकार।
काले अपि काले एकारः पूर्ववर्णः अपि अकारः परवर्णः एकादेशः एकारः कालेपि भवति। एक I have one thing with the Purva. I wrote it like that only in the for the homework, but I don't know the correct one. The Purva Rupa Sandhi ityukte the Purva Varnaha gets transformed into Ekaraha and the Paravarnaha disappears.
Actually, both of them disappear. This is also Ekadesha Sandhi. So in Ekadesha Sandhi, both the Purva Varna and Paravarna get replaced by one single Varna.
But the Purva Varna has the same.
Not like that. I understand what you're saying, but not like that. So what happens is both Ekara and Akara get replaced by Ekadesha. Means they both are replaced by some one letter. In this case, that letter happens to be the same as the Purva Varna. That is why it's called Purva Rupa Sandhi. Same way, Okara plus Akara, both of them actually get replaced. So if you actually study this through Panini Sutras, it's like a mathematical formula. Just like we do y is equal to mx plus c, or a square plus b square plus 2ab is equal to a plus b whole square. You can actually derive the whole thing, right? Same way with Panini Sutras, you can actually derive. So at some point, you'll find that Ekara and Akara both get taken out. It just so happens that the replacement character is also Ekara. And because Ekara happens to be Purva Varna, that's why it's called Purva Rupa Sandhi. Same with Okara plus Akara. Okara and Akara both get removed and replaced by Okara. Okara happens to be Purva Varna, that's why it's called Purva Rupa Sandhi. Vijay Mahodaya, Okara plus Akara, tasya udaharanam dadatu.
Sorry, Mahoday. Ukara or Okara?
Okara. We are reviewing Purva Rupa Sandhi that we covered in last class.
Okay. Okara and Akara. So we had done something like Sarvato plus Asti. So it had a O at the end, Purva Varna, and Paravarna starting letter A. So it became Sarvatosti.
Sarvatosti, Satyam, Satyam. And while writing, sometimes after Sarvato, we put the Avagraha Chetnam. Same way, Te plus Api, Tepi, we can write it as Tepi or Te Avagraha Pi. And in last class, somebody actually brought up a good example, Mahodaya. So somebody asked, what is Sarvataha? Is it from everywhere? No, it just means around, everywhere. Just like Sarvatra. So there is a pratyaya called Tasil pratyaya. So if we look at Purvataha, Parataha, Ubhayataha, we studied all these. Remember when we were studying Vibhaktis. Gruham Paritaha Udyanam Asti, Gruham Purvataha Mandiram Asti, whatever. So they all end in Taha. So it is called Tasil. There's a pratyaya called Tasil pratyaya. So Sarvataha, it doesn't mean from everywhere, it just means around, everywhere. Sarvatra is the equivalent of Sarvataha. Sarva plus Tasil pratyaya gives Sarvataha.
So, Banu Mahodaya, so that Sarvataha Avyayam va?
Sarvataha Avyayam va. Pashyama. It has to be. I actually, let's look it up. To adverb, no. Kshamyatam. No, it is not avyaya. So the pratyaya, because of the tasil pratyaya, the pratipadikam becomes sarvatas. So it's a sakaranta. Can you see my screen? Am I sharing my screen? No. Kshamyatam. So can you all see my screen now?
Yes.
So it becomes sarvatas because of the tasil pratyaya. So it is actually sarva plus tasil. So this is the name of a pratyaya, tasil. And it becomes, the pratipadikam becomes sarvatas. And so therefore, if you do sarvatas, sarvataha, sarvatasau, sarvatasaha, ityadi. So sarvataha iti asmin sandarbhe prathama vibhakti ekavachana. Sarvataha asti. So prathama vibhakti ekavachana. Astu. So related to Purva Rupa Sandhi is a Visarga Sandhi. So technically we will study in the syllabus, Visarga Sandhi is in the third level, the Siksha level, or in our case, the Malati level. But what happens is, as we saw when we took the Pravesha exam, they asked Swarasandhi questions because the Swara Sandhi was part of Tamil medium textbooks, and Visarga Sandhi is part of the Parichaya textbook, even though it's not in the English medium textbook. So we will study Visarga Sandhi. There's one more practical reason also. All the shlokas that we have from Sankshepa Ramayana for Anvaya Rachana in Parichaya at our level, Lataa, they involve a lot of Visarga Sandhis. So it makes no sense for me to say this is Visarga Sandhi, ignore it, we will study later. Might as well know what Visarga Sandhi is and how to do the Sandhi Vichedam. It's actually very simple. There's only 4 types. And all 4 are very simple. So that is why we are going to study Visarga Sandhi at this level.
Shamita Mahodaya, I have one question. In some of the slokas, I have seen 2 avagrahas, Mahodaya.
Nastu.
In some slokas, I have seen that.
Okay, send that. I don't know what it is. Send it. We will look at it.
Okay.
Astu. Let us review a little bit about what we already learned, which is about Aksharani. So Aksharani, we know there are 2 types, Swaraha, Vyanjanani. So Swaraha, they are also called as Ach, and they go from A so to Au. So A, I, E, O, R, 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 A, I, O, Au. And Vyanjanani, they are also called, anybody remember? In Maheshwara Sutrani, they have a name. Hal, Satya, Hal. So they go all the way from Ka to Ha. Ka, Kha, Ga, Ghanya, Cha, Cha, Ja, Janya, Ta, Tha, Da, Dhana, Ta, Tha, Da, Dhana, Pa, Pha, Ba, Bha, Ma, Yara, Lava, Shesha, Sa, Ha. This should be Sa, Shamyata. So there are many ways of classifying Aksharani. Here is one way. So this is not the only way. There are many ways of classifying. Depends on the purpose for which we use them. So for our purpose, which is Sandhi Karyam, this is the classification we are interested in. So A to Au, they are Swaraha. Also called as Ach, and Her to La, they are called Vyanjanani, also called as Hal. So if you recall, these come from the Maheshwara Sutrani. So Maheshwara Sutrani, A to Cha, A to Au, these are all Hal, Kshamyatam, Ach, because the starting letter is A, and what is this called?
Cha.
It Sangya. So A to Cha, they are all part of Swaraha. Same way, Ha to La. So this is the It Sangya. So Ha to La, these are all Vyanjanani. So these come from Maheshwara Sutrani. Now, if we go back, so A, I, U, R, R, these are called Hraswa Swaras, and A, I, U, R, A, I, O, Au, they are called Dirgha Swaras. And when it comes to Vyanjanani, so the way we normally study Vyanjanani is not in the Maheshwara Sutrani way where it starts with her, but we study with Ka, Kha, Ga, Ghanya, etc. So these 5 characters, the first 5 characters in this order, they are called Ka Vargaha. Why are they called Ka Vargaha? Because they start with the letter Ka. Same way, the second row, cha vargaha, cha, cha, ja, jaya, because they start with cha. Same way, ta vargaha, ta vargaha, pa vargaha. So these are the 5 vargas that we have, and each varga has a name that corresponds to the first letter of the varga. So ka varga, cha varga, ta varga, ta varga, pa varga. Apart from these, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 3, 8 more Vyanjanani. They don't belong to any Varga, so they are called Avargiya Vyanjanani. Varga and Avarga. Means opposite of Varga. So, Yatra Yaha Yat Vyanjanam Varge na bhavati, tat Avargiya Vyanjanam bhavati. So these ya, ra, la, va, ha, she, sha, sa, they are all called avargiya vyanjana. So far so good. Prashnaha, sandehaha. Astu. Apart from that, from each varga, from ka, cha, ta, ta, pa vargas, the first 2 aksharas, ka, kha, cha, cha, ta, tha, ta, tha, pa, pha. So these 5 Vargiya Vyanjanas, the first 2 of each of these 5 plus sha, sha, sa. These 10 plus 3, these 13, they are called Karkasha Vyanjanani. Karkasha Vyanjanani. And then the 3rd, 4th, and 5th aksharas of each of these Vargiya Vyanjanas. So, ga, gha, nya, cha, ja, ja, na, dha, dha, na, da, dha, na, ba, bha, ma. So, these 15 plus ya, ra, la, va, ha. These 5, 50 plus 5, 20. These 20 are called Mrudu Vyanjanani. So these are important things to remember. Mrudu Vyanjanani, Karkasha Vyanjanani, Vargiya Vyanjanani, and Avargiya Vyanjanani. These 4 names, please remember. Because when we study some these, we will refer to them. Prashnaha santi va atra?
Could you repeat this one? Sorry, this Mridu.
So everything in purple. So the 3rd, 4th, and 5th letter of each of these 5 vargas plus ya, ra, la, va, ha. These 5, 15 plus 5, these 20 letters or aksharani, they are classified as Mrudu Vyanjanani. Whereas the first 2 aksharani of the 5 Vargiya Vyanjanani, so these 10 plus sha, sha, sa, these 3, 13, these 13 are classified as Karkasha Vyanjanani. So what I said was, remember what are Karkasha Vyanjanani, what are Mrudu Vyanjanani, what are Vargiya Vyanjanani, these 5, because they belong to Ka Varga, Cha Varga, Ta Varga, Ta Varga, Pa Varga. So these 15 aksharani, they are called Vargiya Vyanjanani. And these ya, ra, la, va, ha, sha, shra, sa, they are Avargiya Vyanjanani because they don't belong to any Varga or group. So Varga means group. So these 5 are belonging to Ka Varga or Ka group. This is Cha Varga or Cha group, etc. And these 8 aksharani, they don't belong to any Varga. Hence, they are classified as Avargiya Vyanjana. Spashtam?
Yes, so they are like in the last line, va, ra, la, va, ha, and sha, sha, sa. These are Avargiya. And but these are also Mridu Vyanjanani. like the last row then.
Not,
It's mid-
not the last row, the purple on yellow.
Okay.
These 15 plus these 3, these 5, these 20 characters that are in purple on yellow are Mrudu Vyanjanani. These 10 that are in green, along with these 3 that are in pink, these 13 are called Karkasha Vyanjanani.
Okay.
Ah.
Dhanyavad.
Bhanu Mahodaya.
Vadatu Mahodaya.
So, I mean, why are these called Karkasha Vyanjanani? And like Vargiya and Avargiya, I got it, but then why Karkasha and Mrudu?
So the theory, or at least the books say that when you pronounce this, they are harsh. Karkasha means harsh, right? So they sound harsh. Ka, kha. Whereas these sound mrudu, soft. Ga, gha, nga, ja, jha, ya. I don't know. That is what they say. But to my ear, da and dha, they sound harsh. Ta sounds soft, and pa sounds soft to my ear. But that, at least that's what the books say. They say these are called Karkasha Vyanjanani because they sound harsh to the ear, whereas these sound soft, and that is why they call Mrudu Vyanjanani.
There could be one more thing, sorry, like because ta and tha, when you speak, it is from the back, like which part are, and then da, dha, when you speak, it's more from the front, and it's little bit harder kind of thing. Yes, ta, if you speak, it comes from the back, like, from the throat. Yes.
Maybe possible. It is possible. So if you look at, let us go back and look at Maheshwara Sutrani. So if I say khar, what are the letters here? Khar. Anybody?
Hayava.
No, khar. Khar.
Ka, fa, cha, tha, tha, cha, ta, ta, ka, pa, sha, sha, sa.
So these ones. So the pratyahara khar is all the letters starting from kha up to sa. All these are they belong to the khar pratyaya, and if you actually map it back to this, they belong to the Karkasha Vyanjana group. If you reorder those letters in the format that we have written, they become Khar. Same way, if you look at Hush, anybody wants to say what is Hush?
Yeah.
You said Madhu.
Wait, what is the first one?
Yeah.
No. It starts with Ha. So, so you, when we say hush, you include the first letter, but you don't include the last letter.
Okay. Ya, pa, ra, la, nya, ma, nga, na, na, ja, bha, ga, da, dha, dha, ja, ba, ga, da, da.
That's it. So we stop here because hush. So it sanya, we encounter the it sanya. So even if you encounter it sanyas in between, you discard all of them. So everything starting from the first letter of the pratyahara, hush, to the antima letter, excluding the it sanya, they belong to that pratyahara. So if you rearrange these, they look like these. Mrudu Vyanjanani. So they are called Harsh.
Bhanumoday, could you show the screen again? There is one word like Da se Damru, and then there is this Bindi. Ang. How, like in the second row, this one, yes. How will you pronounce this one?
Anybody?
Ang.
Yeah.
Nya. Ka, kha, ga, gha, nya.
Yeah.
So if you go back and look here, ka, kha, ga, gha, nya, cha, cha, ja, cha. What is this?
Nya.
Nya. Nya, nya.
Yeah.
अन्ये प्रश्नाः सन्ति वा?
Because in Hindi it is ka, kha, ga, gha, anga. Anga. So it is not.
For Tamilians, it is very easy.
Okay. Astu. So remember Karkasha Vyanjanani, Mrudu Vyanjanani, Vargiya and Avargiya. And with that in mind, let's proceed. Let's start with Visarga Sandhi. We needed all that to study, to get on to Visarga Sandhi. So as a recollection, Sandhis are of three types. Swara Sandhi, also called as Ach Sandhi, because Swara, another name for Swara is Ach. So in Swara Sandhi, it's always between one Swara and another Swara. So Purva Varna and Paravarna, they always happen to be Swaras. And we have, we studied Savarna Dirgha, Guna, Vruddhi and Purvarupa. We will study Yan, Yanta, Vanta, Desha and Pararupa in a future class. So Swara Sandhi is the first one. The second one is called Visarga Sandhi. So a Visarga Sandhi is formed between a Swara, a Visarga and Swara or Vyanjana. Why that is, we will see in a second. And the third type of Sandhi is called Vyanjana Sandhi. And because another name for Vyanjana is Hal, they are also called as Hal Sandhis. So a Vyanjana Sandhi can form between a Vyanjana and Swara, Vyanjana and Vyanjana, or a Swara and Vyanjana. So all three combinations are possible. Swara Sandhi is always between Swara and Swara. Vyanjana has these combinations, whereas Visarga Sandhi, let us go there. So in a Visarga Sandhi, the first Purva Varna, the Varna before the Visarga. So some Varna plus Visarga plus some other Varna. So the Purva Varna before the Visarga can only be a Swara, whereas the Paravarna can be a Swara or a Vyanjana. Does anybody know why? What is an example of a word that has a Visarga? Any word. Any
Kopi we did.
Ramaha.
Ramaha. Ramaha. So if you break Ramaha, how will it be? R-A-M-A-Ha. So what is the character, letter, akshara before Visarga? Akara.
Akara.
Pick any other word, padam that has Visarga. Anything. Ramaha. So what is the character before Visarga? Akara, Dirgha. Rishihi. What is it before Swara, before Visarga?
Akara.
Ikar.
Ikara.
Sorry, Ikara.
Rishihi. Guruhu.
Ukara.
Uppara.
Ukara. Guruhu. Ukara. Harihi. Guravaha.
Akara.
Akara. So whatever padam you pick that has a visarga at the end, they will always have a swara as the last, just as a character before the visarga. The aksharam before the visarga can only be a swara. That is why there are no words that have a Vyanjana before the Visarga. That is why when we do Visarga Sandhi, the Purva Varna before the Visarga can only be a Swara, but anything can come after the Visarga, either a Swara or a Vyanjana. So, Visargat Purvam Kevalam Swaraha Bhavitum Arhati. So, Purva Varnaha is always a Swaraha. Paravarnaha can be a Swara or a Vyanjana. Dvayoho madhye Visargaha Bhavati. So, that is the basic structure of a Visarga Sandhi. Swara plus Visarga plus Swara or Vyanjana is Visarga Sandhi. In the case of Swara Sandhis that we have seen, what is the Sandhi Karyam that we saw so far? Sandhi Karya.
Adeshan.
So far we have seen only Adesha. And what is Adesha? What does Adesha mean? English, you can say it in English also. Replacement. Adesha is replacement. Ek Adesha is replacement of 2 by 1, both by 1. In the case of Visarga Sandhi, the Sandhi Karyam can be Adesha, Agama or Loka. So it can be any of the 3 types that we have briefly touched upon. So Shivaha plus Tatha becomes Shivas Tatha. So here the Visarga, in the place of Visarga, we see a Sakara. So what is this an example of? Guess.
Agamaha.
Adesh only.
Adesh.
With sir, half sir.
Satyam. So if you look at the structure of this, only the Visarga is replaced by this Sakara. The rest of the Purva and Para, they remain the same. So this is Adesha. We will look at it. Here, any guesses? Harihi Shete, Harishete.
Agamaha.
Agama. So in place of Visarga, there is an extra new character, Harsha, that has come in. It's a new one. So it is Agama. And Arjunaha plus Uvacha becomes Arjuna Uvacha.
Lopa.
The first 2 Shivastata and Harishashete.
Shete means sleeps.
What is why one is Agama and one is this? In one, the Visarga became half Sa. In the other one, Visarga became half Sha.
Okay, we will study all those. Why I gave these examples on purpose. I picked these examples on purpose. So far our Adeshas have been very simple. Now we are getting into slightly complicated situations of Adesha. So Adesha doesn't always follow the same pattern that we've studied. So this is a slightly more complicated version of Adesha. So why this is Adesha and why this is Agama, we will see. Good question. We will see. So in Visarga Sandhi, there are 4 types. The first one is called Ukaradesha Sandhi. Ukaradesha, where Utvam means who becomes the Adesha. And we have actually looked at it in Purva Rupa Sandhi also. We encountered this as part of Purva Rupa Sandhi. So Ramaha plus Api is Ramopi. And then the second type is called Lopaha. Arjunaha plus Uvacha, Arjuna Uvacha. Then there is something called Rephadesha. So Valmikihi plus Munipungvam will become Valmikir Munipungvam. So this visarga is replaced by repha. Repha is that ra. This ra is called repha. The rishi, the r in rishi is called rukara. So that is the difference. Here, a, I, e, the swara r in rishi is called rukara, whereas this ra is called repha. So this visarga is replaced by repha, so it becomes Valmikir Munipungavam. Does anybody remember or know where this word Valmikir Munipungavam, anybody know where it comes from? Anybody encountered it before? Does anybody?
Valmiki Stuti before Ramayana Pata.
Valmiki Stutina. Rajashri Mohade, Bhavati Janati va?
Ramayanam, I think it's the first shloka something.
Satyam. So the very first shloka of Ramayana, and we will study it in our class. We will do the Anvaya Rachana of that shloka. So the very first shloka of Ramayana, it's in Sankshepa Ramayana, but basically it falls under Balakanda. Everybody knows, Harsha Mahade, what are the different kandas of Ramayana?
Kanda, Balakanda, and Ayodhya Kanda, Kanda, Lanka Kanda, Kishkinda Kanda.
So Lanka Kanda and all those may come in other versions of Ramayana, but Valmiki Ramayana, Sundari Mahode,
Balakanda, Ayodhya Kanda, Aranya Kanda, Kishkinda Kanda, Sundara Kanda, Yuddha Kanda, and Uttarakhanda.
So that is the kandas in Valmiki Ramayana. So there are versions of Ramayana in many in all our languages. There the splitting is different. So maybe Lanka Kanda comes in some other version of Ramayana. Just like in other languages also, there are other kandas. But in Sanskritam, in Valmiki Ramayana, these are the 6+1 kandas that are recognized. The first one is Balakanda. In Balakanda, the first part of Balakanda is called Sankshepa Ramayana. So the way Ramayana starts, so this is all relevant. We will study all the Anvaya Rachana of these shlokas of Sankshepa Ramayana. So I'm not distracting or going off on a tangent. This is all relevant to our class. So in Sankshepa Ramayana, in Balakanda, which is the first kanda, Sankshepa Ramayana happens to be the first part. Anybody know what Sankshepa Ramayana means or represents? What does the word Sankshepa mean?
In short.
In short, condensed, summarization, etc. So the story of Ramayana starts with Narada Muni visiting Valmiki at his ashrama. So Valmiki then asks Narada, who in this time is a person that has several good characteristics, and he lists 16 of those characteristics. Who among all the human beings, or actually among all beings at this time, in this era, in this yuga, has all these 16 characteristics? And so he goes on to list all those 16 characteristics. We will see what those 16 characteristics as part of Anvaya Rachana. So then, so the shloka where Valmiki, Narada Muni visits Valmiki is the first shloka. Tapaswadhyaya niratam tapasvi vagvidambaram Naradam paripapracha Valmikir Munipungavam. So Valmikihi Munipungavam, those two combine to become Valmikir Munipungavam. Why that is, we will study later. So what happens then after Valmiki asks that question? So Narada says, not only those 16 characters that you listed, and he goes on to list 64 characters. So there is somebody called Rama who has not just those 16, but he has 64 good characters, and he lists all those 64 characters. And then he goes on to tell the story of Rama in a condensed form to Valmiki, and that is the reason this portion of Balakanda is called Sankshepa Ramayana, or a condensed form of Ramayana, or Ramayana in summary. And then, of course, the story goes that Valmiki goes and goes for taking a bath, and there he sees two birds, two chakora pakshis, and a hunter comes and kills one of them. So his heart bleeds from all the pain that he sees. And he says something comes out of his mouth, which is the world's first shloka, because it came from shoka. And that is why he called it shloka. So Valmiki Ramayana is considered as the world's first kavyam. There are no known kavyas before Valmiki Ramayana. And so after that, he writes the entire story of Rama through his so Divya Drushti. He sees the entire story of Ramayana in detail, and he writes Ramayana as we know it. So that is the background. We will study several shlokas from Sankshepa Ramayana in this course. Anybody wants to add anything to what I said based on what you have learned? My knowledge is also not as great as some of yours. Rohini Mahoday, kimapi vaktum icchati va?
No, Magadya. But I was told that actually this story was narrated with the children of Rama. They were also there. Yes.
Satyam. So when Rama, after he brings back Sita,
Yes.
he does the Ashwamedha Yaga, and then Kusha and Lava, they stop the horse, and then Rama goes and asks, why have you stopped my horse? And then they sing the story of Ramayana.
Yeah, that's the first time it came out.
That's the first time it was revealed to the public.
Narrated, yes.
To the public in a song format. So yes. Ramayana is meant to be sung.
Yes.
Ast, Uttama. So Valmikihi plus Munipungavam, Valmikir Munipungavam. And their last one is called Sakara Deshaha. So Ramaha plus Tatra, Ramas Tatra. So we will study 2, 3, and 4 in a future class. Today we will study Ukara Deshaha because we already studied it to some extent as part of Purva Rupa Sandhi. So what does Ukara Desha Sandhi type of Visarga Sandhi say? Rajashri Mahoday, Krupaya Yatat Pathatu.
Yadi Visargat Purvam Akaraha Bhavati Visargat Pare Akaraha Va Mriduvyanjanani Va Bhavati Tarhi Visargasya Ukara Deshaha Utvam Bhavati.
Arthaha Kim Arthaha Kaha.
So before the Visarga, if there is a Akara, and after the Visarga, if there is a Mridu Vyanjana, any of the Mridu Vyanjana or Akara, then instead of the Visarga, there will be a Ukara coming in.
Ukara Desha means Visarga gets replaced by Ukara. Adesha. So Adesha is replacement. So Visarga gets replaced by Ukara. Uttama. So Purva Varnaha. When I say Purva Varnaha in this context, it means Purvam to Visarga. So if the Purva Varna is Akara and Paravarna, again Paravarna is in reference to Visarga. So visargat anantaram yadi akarah bhavati no chet mrudu vyanjanani bhavati tada visargasya sthane, in place of visarga, utvam agachati. So it's u replaces visarga, and that is why it is called ukaradesha. So let us look at some examples. So the first, so a plus visarga plus there visarga is replaced by u. A plus visarga plus any of the mrudu vyanjana, any of the 20 mrudu vyanjanas. Then again the visarga gets replaced by ukara. So let us look at examples, it will become clear. So let's take up the first one, akara plus visarga plus akara. Shivaha plus aham. So if you have Shivaha aham, so essentially that is Shivaha plus aham. And if you split this, Shri Vidya Mahodaya, if you split this, what will be before the visarga?
Shivaha akaraha plus visargaha.
And what will be after visarga?
After visarga, it should is here it is akaraha.
Akara. So here only. So Shiv plus
a plus visarga plus
ham. So what we are saying in this case, so visarga akara plus visarga plus akara. So visarga gets replaced by ukara. So it becomes Shiv a u again and ham. So this is the utvam part. So actually this is all the ukaradesha of the visarga sandhi talks about. So technically we should stop here, but we know that a plus u, what is a plus u?
O.
What is that sandhi called?
A plus u is guna sandhi.
Guna sandhi. So Shiv a plus u becomes o. So Shiv o, and these remain a and ham. Again, we studied this in the Purva Rupa Sandhi. Is there a sandhi between o and a? What is o plus a?
O. O
plus a is o. Purva Rupa Sandhi. So both get replaced by o. So Shiv o ham. So this is because of the Purva Rupa Sandhi that we studied in the last class. So the final result is Shivoham. Optionally, you can put the avagraha, so Shivoham. The pronunciation is the same, but writing style, you have two options. So there are three sandhis happening here. In the first case, a plus visarga plus a, therefore the visarga gets replaced by ukara. That is called utvam or ukaradesha. The second time, what happens is because of a plus u, they get replaced by o due to guna sandhi, and then again o plus a get replaced by o because of purva rupa sandhi. So eventually Shivaha plus aham or Shivaha aham becomes Shivoham.
Mahodaya, does this happen every time, in every word?
Everywhere where this
every word
this,
like three sandhis will be there.
We'll see. Wherever these conditions are satisfied, we have to apply these rules.
Mahodaya, I have a question.
Vadatu.
So is visarga always changes into u, or it can be any other letter also?
That's what we said. That's what we said here. In one case, it becomes u. In other case, it gets dropped. In some cases, it becomes repa. In some other cases, it becomes sakara. So it's not always O. It can be one of these four.
So is there any condition that it is changing into U? Like, how do we find out?
Is there any condition what?
For how, like the Visarga changes into U, like that.
That is what we just studied. If the previous Varna before the Visarga is Akara, and the character after the Visarga is Akara or Mrudu Vyanjana, in these situations only the Visarga changes into U.
Okay, either A or Mrudu.
Or Mrudu Vyanjana. Right.
Okay. Dhanyavad.
Okay, you only do this, Sumitra Mahoday. You do this.
So which one? Ramaha api. Okay. Ramaha plus Rama plus Visarga plus api.
Wait. Repeat.
Ramaha plus api. Then Ramaha is divided into like Ram or A plus Aha.
Ram plus A, not Rama. Ram plus A. Visarga api. Anantaram. Atra kim bhavati, condition satisfied bhavati va?
Yeah, So it will be Ram plus Ukara plus Akara plus P.
No. Please repeat.
Ram plus Ukara.
No. Only Visarga becomes Ukara. Only
I thought A plus, okay.
Only Visarga becomes Ukara. The previous Purva Varna and Paravarna remain the same. Kevalam Visarga eva Utvam bhavati. Ukaraha bhavati.
So Rama plus Ukara plus P.
Ram plus A plus Ukara plus A plus P. Anantaram Atra kimapi sandhi bhavitum arhati va?
Mahodaya. Gunasandhi.
Kutra asti?
A plus U.
Kim bhavati A plus U?
O bhavati.
O bhavati. So what will this result in?
Ramo plus Api.
Ram plus O plus Api. Anantaram Atra. So don't jump to Ramo, because if you keep these letters split, then you will discover something. If you change it to Ramo, then again in your mind you have to do Ram plus O. So don't immediately convert this to Ramo.
Then Ram plus O plus Api. Then O plus A will become O.
Because of?
Purva Varna.
Purva Rupa Sandhi.
Purva Rupa Sandhi. Yeah.
So Ram plus O plus P. So here in this case both O and A get replaced by O.
Adesha.
Ekadesha. Atra api A and U, both of them get replaced by O. Ekadesha. So what is the final result?
Ramos P.
Why Asti? What is this?
This will become Ramo P.
Ramo P. With or without the avagraha?
I was trying to say that. Yes.
This is not S. So this is only a reminder that there used to be an akara. So in pronunciation, we don't pronounce it. It is still Ramopi. It is pronounced like this only.
Ramopi.
Ramopi. Only while writing, we sometimes write it. We don't have to write it. This is perfectly valid. Atra prashnaha santi va? Is this spashtam? Anybody else have questions about this? Astu, let us look at the other. So we saw two rules, right? A plus Visarga plus A, or A plus Visarga plus Mrudu Vyanjanani. So we saw the first type. Let us look at the second type. plus visarga plus mrudu vyanjanani. Harsha Mahoday. Krupaya etat karotu. Balaha gacchati.
बालः गच्छति. So बाल अधिकम अ अधिकम विसर्गः अधिकम ग. Ga is a mrudu vyanjanam from ka varga.
Ga is a mrudu vyanjanam from the ka varga. Uttamam. So wait a second. So this is not bala plus a. This is bal plus a. Right. Bala, bala is bal plus a. Anantaram atra visargat purvam kim asti?
विसर्गात् पूर्वं अकारः अस्ति. विसर्गात् परः ग मृदु व्यञ्जन
गकारः अस्ति.
गकारः अस्ति. तदर्थं विसर्गस्य उकारः भवति.
So what will be the next step?
बा लकार अधिकम अकारः अधिकम उकारः अधिकम गकारः अधिकम अच्छ.
So bal plus a plus ukara replacing only the visarga. It replaces only the visarga. It is not an ekadesha or something else. It is just an adesha. It replaces only one character. So ukara. So utvam. Anantaram kimapi sandhi asti vatra?
गुणसन्धि अस्ति. अकारः प्लस उकारः ओकारः भवति.
So what will be the result of this?
बाल अधिकम ओकारः अधिकम गकारः अधिकम अच्छति.
ना बाला प्लस ओकार ना बाल प्लस ओकार. अत्र हलन्त अस्ति अथवा अपि अतः बाल एव वदनीयम्. You can't say bala. This is bal. There is a halanta.
Bala.
Not bala. Bal. Like your Hindi bal hair. Bal.
Yeah. Bal.
So a plus u becomes o because of guna sandhi. Uttama. Anantaram kimapi sandhi asti vatra?
No.
Na. So what will be the result?
Balo gacchati.
Balo gacchati. Uttama. Balo gacchati. So please make a note. It is balo gacchati and there is no purva rupa sandhi here. Purva rupa sandhi happens only when there is a okara plus akara or ekara plus akara. In this case, that condition is not satisfied. There is an okara, but the paravarna is not an akara. So there is no purva rupa sandhi that happens when there is a mrudu vyanjana. Another point to note is these remain as two separate words. Balo gacchati. We write it as two separate words. Whereas when there is akara, visarga, akara, we write it as one word. But akara, visarga and mrudu vyanjanam, we write it as two separate words. Balo gacchati. So,
Bhanumohan, could you repeat the first point which you said? I haven't got it.
So why is there a purva rupa sandhi happening in this case? What is purva rupa sandhi?
It is O plus A.
So O plus A replaced by O.
O,
so
yes.
Here there is a purva rupa sandhi happening. But here there is O plus gakara, not A. So purva rupa sandhi is not possible. So sandhi karyam stops here. So there is no other sandhi that is possible here. So we stop doing sandhis. So balo gacchati.
Dhanyawad.
Anybody have questions? Is this clear? We'll do lots more abhyasa. So if it is not 100% clear, don't worry. We'll do lots more abhyasa. Sundari Mahoday. One more example. Namaha, namaha.
Nam plus A plus Visarga plus in plus Amaha.
Nakara plus Amaha. Uttamam. So is Nakara Mrudu Vyanjanam?
Yeah, Vyanjanam.
Is it?
Akaranda plus Visarga plus Vyanjanam. So
No, not Vyanjanam. Mrudu Vyanjanam. It has to be Mrudu Vyanjanam.
Mritu Vyanjanam.
Is Nakara Mrudu Vyanjanam? What are Mrudu Vyanjanas? Do you remember?
I think the first two.
Last three, not first two. Last three.
Oh, last three. Okay.
Is a Kakarsha Vyanjanani.
First two are Karkasha Vyanjana.
Yeah, true. Sorry.
Chinta nasti. We just studied it today, so no problem. So, ta varga has the, na. So, this is the last letter of the ta varga. So, third, fourth, and fifth characters of each of these vargas plus these 8 yara, lavaha, shesha, sa. These 3 times 5, 15 plus yara, lavaha. These are mrudu vyanjanas. So na is the 5th letter in the ta varga. Ta, tha, da, na, da, dha, na. So it is a mrudu vyanjana. So this rule is satisfied. A plus visarga plus mrudu vyanjana.
So that visarga becomes u.
So
Ukara.
So what will we write?
Nam plus a plus ukara plus in plus amaha.
Uttamam. So anantaram kimapi
A plus u, yeah, a plus u becomes o because of gunasanti.
So what do we write?
Nam plus o plus in plus amaha.
Nam plus o plus nakara plus amaha. Because of gunasandhi.
Now no other sandhi is there, so it is namo namaha.
Namo namaha. So o plus nakara, it is not purva rupa sandhi. It could be
Purva rupa sandhi is not there.
It could be a purva rupa sandhi only if this was an akara. Since this is not akara but nakara, the sandhi karyam stops here, so it becomes namo
namaha.
And these are written as 2 separate words.
Separately, namo namaha.
Spashtam, anybody have questions here? Astu. Gayatri Mahoday, yetat karotu. Namaha astu.
Nam adhika a plus visarga plus a adhikam stu. So visarga sthane ukaraha bhavati. Then akaraha plus ukaraha gunasandhyahe okaraha bhavati. Okaraha adhika akaraha atra. Idane. So purva rupa sandhi namostu.
Uttamam. Namaha astu becomes namostu. So visarga sandhi plus guna sandhi plus purva rupa sandhi. Uttamam. Viraj Mahodaya.
महोदय बालकः वदति कवर्ग बालक प्लस विसर्ग प्लस मृदुव्यंजन वा अस्ति. So
why did you say kavarga?
No, when we break that balak plus a plus
so we don't care about the varga of the purva. We don't care what is before visarga. Whatever varga, it doesn't matter because Eventually, it will be a swara only. Balak a ha. Balakaha. So before the visarga, it will always be a swara. We don't care about if it's kavarga, tavarga, whatever. We don't care.
I meant kakara.
Astu, astu, astu.
Then visarga
So,
will be
a plus visarga plus vakara. Is vakara mridu vyanjana or not?
yara, lava. That.
Avargiya vyanjana.
Astu. Then we can replace visarga by u. Balak plus u plus vadati, then it becomes balak. Then guna sandhi comes. Balako, again vadati will remain as vadati.
Balako vadati. Uttama. Chaitra Mahoday.
Saha aham. Sakara plus akara plus adhikam visarga adhikam adhikam ham. Tatra sakara plus adhikam u bhavati. Visarga asti atah u bhavati. U plus akara plus ham. Tadanantaram sakara asti u asti atah gunasandhi bhavati tatra o plus akara adhikam ham. Then so ham Mahodaya.
O plus a. You have to
O plus a tatra purva rupa sandhi bhavati. Atah soham.
Soham. So in the case where after the visarga there is a swara, there is an akara, then three sandhis happen. Utvam, guna and purvarupa. But if the paravarna happens to be a mrudu vyanjana, only utvam and guna happens. Purvarupa doesn't happen. So we have to do all three in the first case and both in the second case.
Astu Mahodaya. Banu Mahodaya, eka prashna asti. So like here namaha astu, it is namostu. So what about namaste?
Namaha plus te. Namaha plus te, that is the sakaradesha we saw here. Sakaradesha. Why it is namaha plus te becomes namaste, we will see that when we study sakaradesha.
Astu Mahodaya. Dhanyavada.
We forgot the meaning. Saha aham. Artha kaha?
Saha means he, referring to a male. Then aham.
I am he.
I am him. I am he. Yeah. We're referring to the divine or the Ishvara.
Satya. Soham is a very common phrase that we encounter while doing Satya, when we do Vedanta, when we study Vedanta. Satya. Rajashri Mahoday.
Paramaha Dharmaha Param plus Akara plus Visarga, then Dha. So that will become Param. Visarga will become Ukaraha.
So before we do all of those, you have to make sure what what type of akshara this is. Dhakara, is that a mrudu vyanjana or a karkasha vyanjana? Because if it's karkasha vyanjana, some other rule applies.
It's a mrudu anjana.
Kimartham, why?
It's the third row, third column. So
Fourth. The dha, na. Chaturtham. Chaturtham.
So it is a mrudu anjana. So param plus a plus u will become paramo. And then dha. So after that, Purva Rupa will not happen because it is Mridu Vyanjana. So Paramo Dharmaha.
Uttamam. Paramo Dharmaha. Kutra drishyate Paramo Dharmaha?
Ahimsa Paramo Dharmaha.
Ahimsa Paramo Dharmaha. Anantaram Kalpana Mahoday.
Vivekanandah asti. Vivekanand adikam akara adikam visargah adikam a plus sti adikam sti. Visarga sthane ukara bhavati Vivekanand adikam a adikam u adikam a adikam sti. Purvah Vivekananda plus visarga plus akara plus visarga adikam visarga ukarasti.
No. Okay.
Vivekanand.
Akara, visarga, and akara. Therefore, akara, visarga gets replaced by ukara.
Adikam adikam sti. Then Vivekananda Vivekanand plus a plus u will become o.
Because of
Utvam sandhi. Guna sandhi.
Guna sandhi. So visarga getting replaced by ukara is utvam. A plus u is o. That is because of guna sandhi.
Guna sandhi. Adikam a plus thi. And Purva Rupa Sandhi, Vivekanand adikam o plus asti. Asti. Purva Rupa Sandhi.
O plus I is Purva Rupa Sandhi. Therefore, that becomes
Vivekanando asti.
Vivekanandosti.
Asti. Akaras.
So Vivekanando asti na Vivekanandosti.
Vivekanandosti.
Artha kaha?
This is Vivekananda.
Or Vivekananda is Satya. It's hard to say in English. Spashtam va Kalpana Mahoday?
Astu.
Vijay Mahoday asti va?
Mahoday, one question.
Pruchati.
In the Balakaha Vadati, though we say separately write them, but while pronouncing, we need to say together, is it? Because Sandhi we say.
So Balako Vadati. So it is a Vakyam, right? Balako Vadati. Those are two different words. So it becomes part of a Vakyam. So what happens in a Vakyam? Sandhi is optional. Balako Vadati.
Correct. But also, Balako, we made it, right? We are not left it as Balakaha.
We made it as Balako, Satyam. So Balako Vadati. There is no Sandhi possible. So you have to say it as Balako Vadati. And when you say it, there is automatically a gap between those two, pronunciation of those two words, Balako Vadati. Whereas when you say Vivekanandosti, there is no gap. It's together. Spashtam?
Yeah. That's what it's more of a pronunciation thing because, right?
It's what do you mean by that?
No, there is we can leave it as Balakaha Vadati also, but we are keeping it as Balako Vadati.
I see what you mean. Satyam. Correct. If you want to say Balako, if you want to say those together, Balako Vadati, you could have left it as Balakaha Vadati, as we have studied up until now. Satyam. Rohini Mahoday. रोहिणी महोदय अस्ति वा? अस्तु, सुमित्रा महोदय.
आम्. छात्रः यतते, छात्र प्लस अह प्लस अकारः प्लस विसर्ग plus ya will be under Madhu. I don't know. Does it come under this? I don't know. Yeah. Madhu Mruduvan.
What is Mrudivyanjanam? You remember?
The last three of the Vargiyas and the yeah. Yeah. The last one.
Ya, ra, la, va, ha.
Yeah.
So this is yakara, which is what we see. So it is Mruduvyanjana. So you don't have to do you don't have to tell me all the steps. If you can get to the answer, that is also fine.
No, I was thinking whether it satisfies the condition I was.
Correct. You have to look at that first.
So the answer will be Chatro yatate.
Chatro yatate. Yatate ityukte kim?
Yatate. I don't know more.
Anybody?
Yatate.
Prayatnam.
Yatnam, prayatnam. Yatate means tries, prayatnam karoti. So the student tries something.
Is it Atmane Padam or?
Yate dhatu.
Satyam. Yatate is Atmane. Yatate, yatete, yatante. Uttama. Ramu Mahoday. Ramu Mahoday asti va? Rohini Mahoday asti va? I see your name, but I don't hear you, Mahoday.
Magadya.
Karot.
Internet was off.
Chinta nasti, karot.
Acharyah dhyayati. Acharya plus visarga plus dhyayati. So Acharya plus Ukaraha plus dhyayati.
So here is this a Mruduvyanjana? What is the, how do you break this dhyayati?
Dakaraka plus Yakaraka.
So is that Mruduvyanjanam
Magadya.
Astu. So kim bhavati? If you can tell me the end result, that is fine.
Okay, that's Acharyo dhyayati.
Acharyo dhyayati written as two different words. Uttama.
Yes.
Artha kaha?
Acharya meditates.
Uttama. Uttama. Hemanti Mahoday. Hemanti Mahoday asti va? I see your name, I can't hear you. Astu. Prashant Mahoday.
Mahoday. Dharma rakshati. So it is a plus visarg plus ya ra. So it's Vyanjanani, Mridu Vyanjanam. So it would be Dharmo Rakshati.
Uttamam. Dharmo Rakshati. Where did you hear Dharmo Rakshati before?
It was like Dharmo Rakshati, that you protect the Dharma and Dharma will protect you.
Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha.
Rakshita, yes.
Uttamam. Did everybody get a chance? If anybody didn't get a chance, please pick up. Astu. Shrividya Mahoday, bhavati karotu.
अध्यापकः अयम् अध्यापक
you don't have to do the entire thing. You can get to that. Tell me the answer. That is fine.
अध्यापकोऽयम्
अर्थः कः?
I am teacher. I'm a teacher.
I am what?
I am is you. You are a teacher.
I am is you what?
I am.
We studied this in last class.
Oh, I am.
Idam shabda. Idam shabda.
Okay. I am is he. He is
he.
teacher. He is a teacher.
He. Harsha Mahoday.
Or this person is, we can say that.
This person is a teacher.
Mahodaya. Naradaha Japati. So Ja is it's Chavarga. Ja is there. So it's a Mrudu Vyanjanani.
Because it's the Trutiyam.
Trutiyam.
Cha, ja, cha.
Cha, cha, ja.
Yeah.
So Narado Japati.
Narado Japati. Uttam. Sundari Mahoday. Sandhi Vichedam. But to split the Sandhi.
Vriddho hasati. Oh, yes. There is no visarga, no?
So here we did the Sandhi. We added, we joined. Here we have to split.
Vriddha hasati.
Vriddha hasati. Vriddho hasati. So is it? So if it is Vriddha hasati.
Vriddha hasati.
Wait. So is the Hakara Mridu Vyanjanam?
Yara ha.
Yara lava.
Yeah, it is.
Astu. Gayatri Mahoday. Eshoyam.
Oh, okay, the other way around.
Eshaha ayam.
Eshaha ayam. Artha kaha.
Ayam is also like this. And Eshaha is also.
This is he in that.
This is he. Okay.
Astu. Viraj Mahoday.
Ramaha Jayati.
Is this a Mridu Vyanjanam?
Yes, Mahodaya. Cha, cha varga.
Trutiyam aksharam.
Yes. That's why it's a Ramaha Jayati.
Uttamam. Chaitra Mahoday.
Bharato yachat. Bharataha yachat.
Yachatva.
Bharataha yachati. Bharataha yachati.
Why yachati? Why are you changing this? Nothing. This is not part of any Sandhi Karya.
Bharataha yachat. Oh, okay. Bharataha Bharataha ayachat. Lang lakare asti Mahodaya. Ayachat.
Ayachat.
Bharataha ayachat. So Bharataha asked.
Bharataha asked. Ayachat.
Ayachat.
Lang lakara. Sampurnam vivaranam kim ayachat ityasya?
Ayachat prathama purushe asti. लङ् लकारः एकवचनं
धातुः किं धातुः कः
याचत् याचत् no yachat means he asks yach yach
अस्तु राजश्री महोदय
छात्रो नमति छात्रः नमति
उत्तमं छात्रः नमति न इति मृदुव्यञ्जनं वा
आं महोदय
उत्तमं छात्रः नमति अर्थः कः
the boy prays
उत्तमं सत्यं कल्पना महोदय
अर्चको ददाति अर्चकः ददाति
एतत् मृदुव्यञ्जनं वा
तवर्ग
तवर्ग
तृतीय
तृतीयम्
अर्चक the priest gives
उत्तमं रोहिणी महोदय
बच्चों ब्रवीत वचः प्लस अब्रवीत
वचः अब्रवीत अर्थः कः व्हाट इज अब्रवीत
अब्रवीत is told or speak, right?
Speak.
Speak.
Abravit therefore will be
lung.
Spoke. Lung lakara. Uttamam. Sampurnam vivaranam kim abravit ityukte.
Brudhatu.
Brudhatu. Uttamam. Brudhatu.
Bravit and this ling rakara, I don't know. Lakara, I don't remember.
No. What did you break this as?
Vachaha plus abravit.
Abravit. What is abravit? Here ayachat is lang lakara. What is abravit? Lang lakara.
Lang lakara.
Usually when you have an in front of a lakara, most of the times it is lang lakara. Abravit. Purushaha vachana. Astu, we didn't study this, don't worry.
I think it is ling something, right? Ling.
No. You already said it is lung. Don't. It is not.
Yeah. Sorry, Mother.
Ekavachana prathama purusha.
Yes.
Astu, do this as part of homework. Brudhatu.
Okay.
Rupani, we will do this as homework, so you learn. So, vachaha abravit, artha kaha?
Vachaha, I don't know.
Vachaha is speech or words.
Yeah, vachanam, something.
Vachanam.
Okay. So, that which is told?
Spoke those words.
Okay.
Spoke those words, not told. Spoke.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Sumitra Mahoday.
Krishna labate. So Krishnaha labate.
Etat mrudu vyanjanam va?
Mahoday. It will come under that the last 5.
It's called avargiya vyanjanam. So what does that mean?
The Krishna labate is praptyate, like that.
Prapnoti. Obtains or gets. Labhate ityukte vivaranam kim?
It labdhatu atmanepati prathama vibhakti ekavachan.
Prathama purusha.
So I always get confused. I don't know. Prathama purusha ekavachan.
Uttamam. Ramu Mahodaya agacchati va punaha? अस्तु हेमन्ती महोदय अस्ति वा अस्तु प्रशान्त महोदय
महोदय so samartho see so samartha and then it should be asi so asi it would be like capable of doing
is capable satyam samartha asi asi do you remember asi what is the vivaranam of asi
asti like past tense is it
not bhutakala asdhatu what is asdhatu latlakara astistah santi
astistah santi to be
no,
able to
no this is asi I'm saying asi. I'm giving you a clue
was
no wait
sorry
asdhatu latlakara is vartamana kala so vartamana kala asti staha santi that is prathama purusha what is madhyama purusha
I don't remember right now
Asi
vadatu sundari mahoday madhyama purusha what is uttama purusha
Asmi swaha swaha.
So Rohini Mahoday, what are the 9 latlakara forms of asdhatu?
Latlakara asti staha santi. Asti staha sta asmi swaha swaha.
Uttama. So samarthaha asi means what?
Sorry.
Arthaha kaha samarthaha asi. What does that mean?
To be like capable. Who
is capable? Who?
You.
Yes.
Madhyama purusha ekavachanam. So you are capable.
You. Sorry. Yes. Yushmat. You. Yes. You are capable.
Harsha Mahoday. Antimam karo.
Mahodaya. Ko na you suck.
No.
So suck.
Wait. Read it again.
Ko na suyakaha.
Ko na suyakaha.
So kaha na suyakaha.
Na suyakaha va?
Ko. Okay. Ko kaha.
So I'll give you a clue. Whenever you see this avagraha,
it's okay. Ko anasuya. Ko anasuyakaha.
Ko anasuyakaha. Therefore, it will be after this.
Kaha anasuyakaha.
Uttama. So whenever you see this avagraha, replace it by you'll be the sandhi splitting becomes easy.
Yeah.
So anasuyakaha. Kaha anasuyakaha. Anasuyakaha ityukte? Anasuyakaha. Anasuya. What is asuya?
Asuya.
It's the same in our matrubhashas also. What is asuya? Anybody?
Jealousy.
So anasuyakaha. Opposite of that.
Opposite of jealousy. There is no jealousy.
Kaha anasuyakaha. Who is not a jealous person. So all of these are taken from, not all, but many. This one, many of those are taken from Sanksheparam. So the idea is, if we know the Sandhi Vichedas now, when we go to the Anvaya Rachana, it becomes easy.
Dhanyavada.
Astu. One last thing, 2 more minutes and we can Finish this. Kalpana Mahodaya, Krupaya Patatu.
Visarga Sandhihi Ukaradeshah Udaharanam. Charitrena Chako Yuktaha Sarva Bhuteshu Ko Hitaha. Vidwan Kaha Kaha Samartascha Kaschaika Priya Darshanaha. Valmiki Ramayanam Balakandaha.
So this is one of the shlokas we have to do the Anvaya Rachana for. So Punaha Patatu Ekavaram Jhatiti.
Charitrena Chako Yuktaha Sarva Bhuteshu Ko Hitaha. Vidwan Kaha Kaha Samartascha Kaschaika Priya Darshanaha.
Uttamam. Atra Visarga Sandhi asti va?
Visarga Sandhi. Ko Hitaha.
Let's start from the top.
Okay. Charitrena. Charitra. Charitrena.
No, I'm not saying split this. Okay. I'm saying in this, let's start from the beginning. Do you see any Visarga Sandhis?
Ko Yuktaha.
Ko Yuktaha.
Yuktaha.
Kaha Yuktaha. Uttam. Anantaram Rohini Mahode, Atra Sandhi asti va? Visarga Sandhi asti va?
Ko Kaha Akitaha.
Ahitaha va? Kimartam ahitaha? Atra avagraha nasti kila?
Oh. So no Sandhi there.
No Sandhi va? Is it a Mrudu Vyanjanam? Ha is a Mrudu Vyanjanam. And if you assume this is Kaha, so A plus Visarga plus Mrudu Vyanjanam, will there be a Sandhi or not? Kaha Hita.
Kaha plus Hitaha.
Kaha Hita.
Hitaha.
And then this one, it's a little complicated. Samartha. Kaha Samarthascha. We didn't study this. Kaha Cha. We didn't study this. We will. Chinta nasti. There is one Sandhi that we studied. We'll split this in the next class. Chinta nasti. So that is basically what the Visarga Sandhi Ukara Desha is about. Prashna Santiva. Do you see the relationship between Purva Rupa Sandhi and this one? That is why we studied in this order. Prashna Santiva, Sandeha Santiva. Astu. No chet Samapayamaha. I don't see Shri Vidya Mahoday. I will do the Mangala Shlokam. Krupaya mute Madhya Bhavat. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha.
Dhanyavadaha.